All right. Welcome, everybody, to session, I don't know which session anymore, actually. I lost count, but it's going to be about chapters 3 and 4 of the language of Ramesses, namely demonstratives and possessive pronouns. And we had both of those before in our essentials intro sections. So the grammar itself is essentially a recap, but the example sentences that Neveu picked are pretty complex. And one could ask, well, why does he do that? Why doesn't he just make up his own, like, for example, Lemden does in his Coptic textbook? And the thing is, of course, if you make up your own and you're writing a reference grammar like Neveu does, the problem is other people will just quote them. Like when I want to explore a phenomenon, the first thing I'll do is I look at Czerny, I look at Neveu, I look at Junge, what they've all written, and I assume that those are good late Egyptian sentences. So I guess he's only giving us real examples for that reason instead of made up ones. But of course, the downside is then the grammar is going to be a whole lot more complex. So if anybody watches these and goes, oh, wow, this is like way more complex than what we've discussed before, because they're like full real life late Egyptian sentences, and we'll try to work around that as best as we can in today's section. So yeah, let's jump right into it. The first topic was demonstrative. So in other words, how to say this or that in late Egyptian. And essentially, it's the same word. It's pai, tai, nai in the Egyptological pronunciation. Pai for masculine, tai for feminine, and nai for plural. In Coptic, they become pe, te, ne, at least in Saitic. And they generally go before the noun that they refer to. So pai hach, this silver, as opposed to pahach, the silver. I put a vowel in there just because I know that's what it is in Coptic. Pehat and epat, still pretty much the same as in late Egyptian. In terms of how it's spelled, well, the pi, of course, everybody knows. Pa, aleph, and the double stroke y. The silver, this one here stands for chich, and then it has like a little gold sign behind it for precious metals here. So that's how you spell the word silver. Becomes chat in Coptic, which is kind of neat. One of the many words that live on in Coptic. So demonstrative comes before the noun it refers to, could mean this silver or that silver. That's really something you need to determine from context. And you can also use these pronouns. We have seen them as a subject in nominal sentences of the third person. So if you want to say, this is silver, you would say, chach pai. Just like we had before, chisim pai, it's a dog. Chach pai would be, this is silver, or it is silver. Any questions on that one before we go on?
Hajj kemet, it makes, this is Egypt, is it right?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Hajj kemet, this is Egypt?
If you wanted to say this is Egypt, you would say, I guess, kemet tai, because it's feminine. So it wouldn't be kemet tai, but kemet tai. So you make the pronoun match the gender of the noun. And hajj means silver. So I just picked that as an example. So if you wanted to say this is gold, it would be nupai. If you wanted to say, and now it gets interesting. If you wanted to say this is a stone, do you actually say inerpai or wa inerpai? Do you put an indefinite article? I think you don't put an indefinite article, but I have to, don't quote me on that. I'll have to double check that. But I think in these cases, you just use the absolute noun. Yeah. In English, you have to say it is a stone, it is a dog. But now that I think about it, chisimpai, it's a dog. You don't put the indefinite article. You just use the noun in the absolute, and then you put the pronoun after. So yeah, good question. I mean, how would you say this is wine, for example, if you remember the word for wine?
The word for wine, I forgot. But
Irip.
Irip.
That's right. Absolutely correct. And if you wanted to say this wine, like this wine versus the other, just put it in front. Pai irip, this wine. Like, do you want to say this wine is really good or something?
Need some more practice. Need some more practice.
That's fine. That's fine. That's why I'm asking. Okay. So yeah,
Aurelio,
yes,
does
sir.
nigh ever take N like na does?
Does nigh ever take N? I've not seen it in a grammar. So take it for what it's worth. I mean, to your point, it does take it for na N in the 19th dynasty. Does that ever happen with nai? I don't think so, but yeah, good question. I don't think so.
Okay.
Okay. How would you say these people, just to quickly double check? Volunteers first. I see some.
Would it be Thai Ramech?
That would be this man or this human being. And if you want to make it plural,
Oh, Nai.
Nai Remich, or maybe Remichu, who knows how the plural went, because in Coptic it's Rome no matter what, so you can't tell. Yep, that's right. Cool. Well, let me go on. Before we go to the practice sentences for this, hey, Rebecca's dialing in. Hi, Rebecca. Hang on, I'll wait for a moment for her to connect to audio. Hi, Rebecca. Before we go to the practice sentences for Python, I wanted to put one thing in between, which is not coming up because my presentation is on strike. Let's try this. Yes. I want to say something about the past tense, because like I mentioned in the intro, we have a lot of rather complicated examples, and I thought I should say a few words about the tenses that we're going to see in those examples. So far, officially in this course, we've covered the first present. Tui charisegem, I upon listening. I am upon listening. In other words, I listen or I'm hearing. Ti sotem in Coptic for the first person. And that's being formed with that so-called proclitic pronoun. So tui, tuk, tu, and su and set and so on. That's basically how you form the first present. So the pronoun comes first, then comes the preposition, and then comes the infinitive, because this is essentially an adverbial sentence. We've also had the circumstantial of the first present, which is basically the particle you plus the suffix pronoun, and then followed by her, and then again the infinitive. In Coptic, that becomes the circumstantial, a sotem, as I am listening, basically. This one uses the suffix pronouns instead. So instead of using tui, tuk, tut, etc., what happens here is you just use the suffix pronouns e or I, however you want to pronounce that, k. Again, this is a vowel, used to be ch, f, s, etc. And you glue those after eu. So those are the two that we've gotten to know so far. In today's examples, you'll see a lot of the past tense. And the important thing about the past tense for late Egyptian is the verb comes first in the sejemef form. So the verb followed by the subject. Like, for example, if you wanted to say the man heard, it would be sejim pa remech. So that's something that doesn't live on in Coptic. You put the verb first, and then it's followed by the subject. That's similar to the Sejam F in Middle Egyptian, but the difference is that the meaning is past tense.
Aurelio, you have written here the subject comes after the noun instead of verb. You want to swap that.
Thank you. Good. Thanks, Aaron. Appreciate it. So yeah, that's what it does. And if the subject is a pronoun, you use the suffix pronouns again. So the same thing. The I, K, the F, the S, etc. Those get glued after the verb. So for the pronoun, that would become sechmui for I heard, sechmuk for you heard, sechmo with a missing ch for you heard for a feminine addressee, sechmuf, sechmus, and so on for like he heard, she heard, etc. I think we should probably practice this real quick before we go through. So let's use some examples. Like, let's stay with the first present for a moment. If I wanted to say, I find, how would you say that? I find. To find, of course, would be gimme. So how do you say I find? Back to the first present.
So it would be tui hergemi.
That's right. Tui hargami. So now let's turn this into let's turn that into a past tense. I found.
Gimme,
That's right. Absolutely. Gem.e, so to say.
gem.e.
Exactly. How would you say the man found?
Demonstratives.
Anybody? Just shouldn't be too hard.
Gem paramech.
That's right. Gem paramech. So it's just a
I think
Just
there's
a verb
somebody
for
you can't hear because somebody said that. I'm not
Oh.
sure who,
I didn't hear that.
but
Indeed.
I heard two people say that. So I don't know who the first one was, but somebody apparently doesn't get through to everybody.
That's weird, but thanks for calling it out. Now I'm deaf. In case you guys haven't noticed that yet, that is a clinical fact. So I am deaf. So I may just have missed it. But yeah, so gem paramech, that's right. How would you say I bring the wine? Just 2 more examples.
So it would be, so for present tense, it would be tui imi paerep.
That's right. Tui ini paerep or tui her ini paerep.
Tui her imi, yeah.
Both would be okay. Yep. Now, oh, you know what? I always use one. I always use the first person singular. Let's make it we. We bring the wine because it's a party. What would you turn that into, Rav?
I can't remember. Is that tone?
Tun. Yeah, that's right. So basically 2 plus n for the first plural. So 2
So to and her imi paerep.
That's right. And let's make that past tense. We brought the wine.
So that would be imi.n paerep.
Right. Ini n pa erep. That's right. So yeah, that's really it. It's as simple as that. You just need to remember your suffix pronouns and that they come after the verb in the past tense. Should we do a few more, or is it pretty much clear to everybody how that works? Rebecca, is that a no, we shouldn't do more, or is that a no, it's not clear and we should do more? Do more. Okay, all right. I was sick. Okie doke. Very good. Give me a verb that I always choose the same boring verbs.
Give,
Give, okay. And give what?
a loaf of bread.
A loaf of bread. Okay, all right. Sounds good. Or let's make it simple. Give the bread. So bread is oik. I mean, that is spelled A-M-L-I-N-Q-W. So A-Q, so to say. So yeah. She gives the bread. What would that be in the present tense? You need the right pronoun for that. The masculine would be Sue, and the feminine was
Set.
That's right. So the whole thing, she gives the bread.
Set her. What's the verb again?
To give.
To give, or D. So it'd be set her D. That there. Oh wait, no, you said the word for bread was.
I mean, te would probably be okay. That's what it has been for so long in Egyptian, but there's a specific word, aku.
Apple.
it becomes oik in Coptic. That's yeah, that would be it. Pa'aku. That's right. How would you say she gives me the bread? Making it a bit more complicated. I'm trying to smuggle a dative object in there.
Zet her die pa'aku ni. Well, actually, probably ni pa'aku.
That's right. That's an important thing. The dative object, if it's pronominal,
Yeah, it goes first if it's pronominal.
right, it has to go as close as possible as it can to the verb. That's right. So 100 points there as well. Set raditni pa'aku. Okay, and let's make that past tense. Maybe start without the to me, just make it she gave the bread. Forget about to whom for the moment. Quite a few people I haven't heard from yet. I see a lot of smiling faces on my control screen.
I can try. I don't remember the suffix pronoun. Is it s like in Coptic? DS?
Yes, it's S like in Coptic. That's right.
Okay, so DS pa'aku.
That's right. DS pa'aku. And if you wanted to make it to him, she gave the bread to him.
So DSNF pa'aku.
That is correct. That's right. I should probably actually have opened up a slide to show those examples. Maybe I'll do a few after this session. Okay, I see some nodding. Yep, will do. I think maybe I'll leave it at this for the moment, but okay, I see some yes in the chat as well. Okie doke. So yeah, maybe I'll just do it verbally real quick. I mean, on the fly real quick here. So the key thing is basically the key thing is you put the verb first, like for example, the consideration keyboard. The S, she gives to him the bread. I hope I spelled that right, but I think that's correct. So that's the sequence how it works. So it's basically the it's the verb first, followed by the subject, which could be either a noun or a pronoun. Any kind of pronominal dative objects, if they are there. So any kind of to him, to her, to me, etc. And then followed by the direct object, which in this case would be the bread. And that would be the same with the nominal subject. So if I wanted to say, if I wanted to say, I sent, or the man sends him the letter, for example, it would be hab, that's to send. Hab, the man, parome, paremich, I mean. The letter, ta, shat. But if I wanted to say to him, then I have to put this all the way here at the front, actually, isn't it? Yes. That's a little confusing thing about dative objects. They go as closely as they can to the verb. So actually, this is not completely right here. The pronominal dative object comes as close as it can to the verb. This is only true if the subject is a pronoun. Sorry, that part is a little bit complicated. Basically, what you can imagine is suffix pronouns go right on the verb, but if it's a nominal subject, the pronominal dative sneaks in between. That's something you'll see in one of the example sentences today.
I don't know if this applies as well in late Egyptian as it does in Middle Egyptian, but in Middle Egyptian, the rule is just that any suffix pronouns come before dependent pronouns, come before independent pronouns, come before nouns. So this seems to be the same case. If it's if the dative object is expressed with the help of a suffix pronoun, it goes before anything that is not expressed with a suffix pronoun. So it seems to work.
I think that's true. Yes.
I mean, if it weren't pronominal, it wouldn't go right after the verb, right? If it was the man sends the letter to his son or something like that, then it would go elsewhere.
Exactly. How would you say that to his son?
And Sherif.
And now Ramses times? Late Egyptian.
Oh, no, what? Sherry is late, isn't it? Am I mixing up
That
words?
was totally correct. Just the his. It's not Sherry F, but in.
Oh, Payef Sherry. Yes.
That's right.
Right. It's obvious what direction I was coming from.
Old habits die hard. No, I know
Indeed.
exactly what you mean. So you're right. So like a nominal dative object would go to the end, pretty much like in English. Sends the man the letter to his son, basically. Only if it becomes yes, Rafa, our speech is full of past, indeed. Very true. Yeah, that's basically how it works. Hope I didn't. Yes.
I think it might be helpful to just transition that original sentence to the girl gives him the bread. So it's much clearer what's happening, what the transition is. So like what did I say? The girl, di ta sherit NF ha'aku.
Now, are you sure about where the NF goes?
No, I'm not. I think I flip-flopped that.
I think it goes to the beginning.
Dit NF ta sherit ha'aku.
That's right. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I mean, it's the other reason why I think people shy away from making example sentences, because it's easy to mess up, but I think that's what it would be. Di naf tasherit pa'aku. So the object itself, the direct object, comes at the end, but the thing is the dative object gets moved to the front whenever it is pronominal. That's right. Yeah. So that's overall how it works. Let me basically maybe write the two structures down for the past tense. So it would be verb followed by pronominal dative. Now, basic structure is basically verb, subject, direct object. Geez, this is complicated. If the subject is a pronoun, pronominal dative and then direct object. And if the subject is a noun, then it becomes verb, pronominal dative, subject, direct object. And of course, I didn't cover the case now when the direct object is a pronoun. So ish. I think maybe we dive into the details of that a little bit later. Otherwise, that's going to be a session in itself that I'm not prepared for. It basically goes back to what E.T. said a moment ago. You're trying to put all those light elements, the pronouns, as far to the front as you can, and the heavier stuff stays later. But I'm hoping it gives you a first idea how this works. So for the past tense, the main thing to remember is the verb comes in front, unlike in the first present that we've discussed so far. And with that, I'd love to go into some of the example sentences, which were example sentences not for the past tense, but for the Paitainai. As in the last time, I've pulled out the vocabulary that I thought we haven't covered yet. And whichever way you want to do it, you can just go from memory. If somebody wants to take that sentence and just walk us through it, what they think it means and why it's relevant for this chapter. If you get stuck on anything, I hope I have the vocabulary items covered on the page. So yeah, whoever wants to take the first one.
I can go. I can try. So Jed N F Cha T, and then it says well Jed me N-E, and then Pa-Dik, Pa-E, hedge im.
Perfect. Mhm.
And it means that the vizier said to him, give, no, Ejed, imperative of Jed. So say, please, to me, or tell me, please, perfect relative of, wow, this is, I don't remember this, but there is something, so pa, and at least I can see that there is this gold and im, or maybe not gold, but this is hot, it's like money or silver. So it's im, and im is there,
Mhm.
I think. So tell me, please. Wait, sort of, yeah, I don't know, the place where you put the gold.
You're absolutely spot on. That's what it means.
Yeah.
The place where you put the silver, or rather, not this silver, but it's pi.
This
Right.
silver.
Which is really the whole grammar point he's trying to make. That was spot on. The grammar point he's trying to make is just pi hutch, the silver. But he used a rather complex construction here. So you were spot on from the beginning there. Jed Tati Chati. So the vizier said, it's a past tense. The subject comes after the infinitive, and the infinitive. I'm saying it again, after the verb, sorry. There's a pronominal dative in between. That's why the nef comes between the Jed and the Chati. So that's it. The vizier said to him, and then he says, tell me, basically, or rather he says, say, tell, Ejed. It becomes aji in Coptic. That little pathetic yod is actually still there in Coptic, which is kind of cool. So Ejed nai, tell me. There's a little please squished in between. Actually, Ramses Online, they have the French don for that, so they translate it more like then. Tell me then, tell me please. Who knows? Lesko transcribes it as please. I'll take his word for it. So tell me please. Tell me please what? Pi dik pi hedge im. Pi dik pi hedge im. I think this is a perfect relative. So that you have given or placed, that you have put this silver therein, that you have placed this silver therein, which is basically a complicated way of making a relative sentence, and you translate it perfectly. Namely, tell me the place where you've put the silver, or this silver, I should say. And that's it. Pretty strong sentence for a warm-up, I must say, but I hope it's reasonably clear. I should probably spell out how that's constructed. Let me do that real quick. So Jed, NF, Chati, and of course they didn't use punctuation signs, but I'm just going to add them for our own convenience. Ejed, that's the imperative. Please, ne, nai, to me. Pa, I'm just going to put some whatchamacallit, some hyphens in between to make it a bit clearer. That's like all one expression here. Pa, dik, pi, hedge, in. Tell me you put the silver therein. Okay. All right. I'm hoping it makes some sense, even though it's fairly complicated. Any questions on this one?
The E in the imperative, was this just an imperative marker, or what was the before Jed?
This is really cool, and maybe Nikita can jump in there. In late Egyptian, some words have an imperative marker, which also lives on in a few words in Coptic, not too many. So Aji is one. And then we also have this on, I'm trying to think where else. I think Ima for to give has it, which becomes Ma in Coptic, funny enough. And I think there's like there are others. But the cool thing is it's also there in Old Egyptian, in pyramid text Egyptian, right, Nikita? I think. The imperative marker? Or am I making this up?
Imperative marker appears in the pyramid text, but it is very rarely met in the Middle Egyptian, very rarely.
And that's the cool thing. So you have it in Old Egyptian, it suddenly reappears in Late Egyptian. So what did happen here? Is that some kind of convergent evolution that it just happened again? Or is it that it was there all the time and they just didn't write it? Or the third option, which some have put forward, is it that it's basically a dialectal difference, that something comes out in the Late Egyptian primary prestige dialect that was already there in the prestige dialect in Old Egyptian, and basically with like capitals moving over time, different versions of Egyptian became more prominent. I don't think we know that for sure, but it's a fascinating possibility that you have a feature that shows up in Old Egyptian, then is not present for a long time, and then suddenly shows up again. Kind of cool. And I forgot who made that proposal first, but I remember having seen it in more than one publication. So it's kind of interesting. And then I put a little, like, from the polychromatic website from the project, an example here of what this gold symbol looks like in color. I'm actually not sure what that is. Is that some kind of thing that you would wear around the neck or an object of value? Does anybody know what that actually
I think it's supposed to be like the beaded collar. Where
looks
it
like?
would tie in the back, but it's like the big broad collar.
Makes sense. I mean, would have been my first guess from looking at the shape.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, ready for the next one? This one is a tad easier, but only a tad. Who wants it? Anybody? I mean, this is full on Late Egyptian.
Yeah, I'll go.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yep. So we have you, Bupi, Pai, Shem, UFM, Sherry.
That's right.
Oh, excuse me 1 second. All right, sorry about that. So this is a negation here. So and not, or and don't.
Mm-hmm.
See Shem to go out. So this and this not to go out. It's saying something like, let's see, this not to go out. And he as a child. So he is a child, or he is as a child in the capacity of a child. And don't, and this child should not go, and he should not go out. There's no he there, I'm adding in stuff.
Not quite, that's right. I'll give a hint. The reason that Neveu included this is normally pi stands in front of a noun, but the only thing that you have here is Shem, which would be to go. This
Right.
go could make some sense, but it doesn't in the sentence the way it is. What he's trying to show here is that sometimes pi can be this one. So like
like this one, that one.
Exactly, like almost
Gotcha.
nominalized, basically. That's what he's trying to illustrate here.
Got it. So would it be in this case then this one being, so this one goes, so this one does not go out?
Right? Just the tense. This is a past tense negative. The BP or BP.
Has not gone out. Oh, yeah, just hit past tense. So this one has not gone out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He is a child.
Right. You're spot on. So the first U is basically just an and this one did not go out. You have M. Sherry being a child because he was a child. This could have been, for example, for an expedition to war or some other big thing that basically you wouldn't take a child on. I forgot what the context of the text is. But the second U, that's essentially the circumstantial. So it's introducing some circumstantial information that is relevant to the first part of the sentence. So, and this one didn't go out. Him being a child because he was a child is how we could render it more idiomatically in English. And that's it. Very well done. This is not easy. For those who know Coptic, the Bupui is the predecessor of Coptic umpe, the negative perfect. So it's exactly the same form already as in Coptic. You can see where it's coming from. So MP, I didn't, etc. That's exactly what this is. It can take the suffix pronoun, but in this case, it has pi as the subject. This one didn't go. Shem later loses the M and becomes she in Coptic. And in some texts in like 21st and later late Egyptian, the way it's spelled, it's already fair to assume that the M was already gone, but here it's spelled out, so I did keep it. And I think you said he was as a child, Christopher, absolutely right, because of the M of predication there, indicating like a temporary state. Is a child now, but will be an adult at some point in time. So yeah, well done. Any questions on this one?
Maybe you said it already, but the perfect marker in Coptic, the A, where does that come from?
What? I'm sorry.
Sorry,
Oh.
the A in Coptic perfect.
The not the negative, but the positive, basically.
Yes, the positive.
I'd have to double check, but I thought it was some kind of form of iri, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm not 100% sure. There is a demotic perfect with wach, and that lives on in bohairik ha. But where the simple a perfect comes from, I'm actually not completely sure. To use business speak, I'll take that as an action and bring it back next time. If anybody knows. For the negative one, it's easier to see. So EU, and the reason he has so many, I mean, this thing gets spelled in a lot of different ways. And sometimes you have the W spelled out, sometimes you don't. Here he doesn't spell it out. The author, I mean. I, so, and not did this. Shem, go. UF, being MS, Sheri, a child. Perfect. The gentleman here on the right-hand side is Ramses, of course, Ramses II, as a child, with that characteristic finger in the mouth child pose and the side lock of the hair to indicate that he is a child. He's holding a su, and he's having a sun disk. I wonder if that's I saw somebody say that this was a basically spelling out the word Ramses, Ramesu in a statue. I'm not sure if that's true, but it's kind of cool.
That's a rebus.
It's sort of like a rebus, right? I mean, he's clearly holding a Su sign down here, which is kind of neat, kind of nifty. So it may be a rebus for his name, which would be kind of nice. I thought it was fitting because we're talking about Ramesside Egyptian. Very cool. Next one. Let me see how we do on time.
I can take it.
All right. Thanks, Evan.
I would have said Renpet Haseb. Is it Hesbet now? Renpet Haseb? Is it changed for late Egyptian?
No, it's not late Egyptian, but there is some debate on that. I remember an article saying that it is now established beyond a reasonable doubt that regnal years are Hesbet and normal years are Renpet, or years, I guess, at input. But I'm not sure if that's really established beyond a reasonable doubt. If anybody has opinions on that, please weigh in.
All right, sorry, I'm sidetracking us. So M Hesbet, Medu Hemtet 13, and Per embedding these strokes are Ankwajasaneb.
They are life health.
Okay.
Yes.
Iftet for Renpet Tai. So in regnal year 13 of Pharaoh, life, prosperity, and health, 4 years to this or from this?
Right. So
4 years from this?
From this, and it probably means 4 years ago, since we're not looking into the future. So yeah, that's exactly what it is. Very well done. And yeah, the artai is the grammar point here. He's basically trying to show that you use that in time expressions to basically say from this, which essentially means like before this. And that's it. 4 years ago is essentially what he's trying to say. And
This is a nice one for English too, because it's almost word for word, the Egyptian to the English, so it's easy to follow.
It is true. And it's also a good one for the numbers. I like to read them out. Normally I read them in Coptic. There's a tendency in Egyptology to read them in English, but I think that's kind of, why would you do that? We know how
I totally agree. I try to read them out.
True.
And Rebecca, I think you had a question you said. I saw a
Just a comment, because I'm in a train station. They've all gone for a second. Just to let you all know, if you come to England at the moment at the English National Opera, they've got an opera on by Philip Glass calling Akhenaten.
Yeah.
It's
And
sold out
it's-
since weeks,
oh,
months
my goodness,
even. I wanted
well.
to come.
Oh, okay. Friday rush, you can get them. Right, advertising over, but I wish people like you who knew about Egyptology were there, because I keep thinking, what's that symbol? Why are they getting the wrong symbols? And, you know, so anyway, full stop. Thank you.
All right. Are you going?
I've got the sheet music even.
Well, enjoy. Oh, there he is. Akhenaten, yes. Mhm.
I love that opera. I so much wanted to go, but by the time I was sure when I could make it, the possible representations were all already sold out.
Are you in the UK?
No, I'm not.
Oh, I
So
see. Well,
it
you
would have been a
can.
bit of a trip.
Oh, well, next time, let me know. Get hold of me via Orido. Right, over and out.
Sounds good. Hey, thanks for the public service announcement. All right. And yeah, I don't know if there's anything more to say about this example. If anybody has a question on it. I was trying to find a picture of Seshat marking the years on that year marking stick, but I couldn't find anything that was copyright free. So I just have a picture of Seshat here, basically doing some kind of inscription. Let's assume that she's counting years. But yeah, any questions on this one? If not, then I think we can maybe smuggle one more in. Oh, that was an easy one. We had this one before. But it was in this chapter. That's where I stole it from. So might as well. Anybody?
I can give it a go.
All right.
Okay, UF Jed NF Chesam Chesamu Pi. So the translation that comes up. I'm not sure about Chesam. I forget what that is.
On the right-hand side.
Dog.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's see. So he said something about he said that dog essentially, or it is that dog.
Let me make it a bit easier for modern English speakers.
Okay.
You're almost there.
He said two? No. Wait.
You're right. So this is he, right? And he.
Right. And he said,
And then
yeah, two. That dog.
almost. He said to him. And then this is a sentence.
Okay. Yes. And he said to him, that dog.
Yeah. Or
That one
rather,
there.
that's a dog. It's a dog. It's a, if you wanted to say that dog, it would be Paichesim.
Okay.
Mhm.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Okay.
And so this way, it's now we're switching over to nominal sentences, basically.
Right.
It's a dog. So yeah, that's what it is. In
Gotcha.
Middle Egyptian, you would need a copula. In Late Egyptian, you don't. It's just basically, it's a dog. You got it.
Well, Really, in this case, I don't think that we need copula. Just in retrospect, the comment that I made during one of the first sessions, that can you really express like this? This is a dog without copula in Middle Egyptian. Well, you can. There's A-B sentences, but that means that pi is just like a nominalized, like a pronoun, like a neuter. So this is a dog. A-B, like equality or equalizing kind of sentences. I don't know what they're called in English, unfortunately. So A-B type.
You're right. I'm made up nonsense because you're right. You have like the B-poo kind of paradigm in Middle Egyptian, right? B-poo, like it's a B.
Usually it's A-poo. There are three models for these: A-poo B, A-poo, and A-B.
Right. Whoops. Yo, what am I doing here? A-B, A-poo B. Is that right? And
A-poo.
And A-poo, when you have to present something, when you have to state the existence of something. Not the existence, but you need to present something in front of whoever you're speaking to.
so this is pretty much like this one, actually. It's just
This is pretty much like this, yeah, but it can also be A-B, but A-B is usually preserved for so-called balanced sentences, like meket E, meket Re, so my protection is the protection of race, something like that. But yeah. Anyway, this copula still derives from one of the demonstrative pronouns, so pi is also a demonstrative pronoun, so why not?
Right. So it's actually not that weird when you think about it. Great call.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, that's our sentence here with pi. So it can do it can do three different things, actually, now that I think about it. It can stand before a noun, and that makes it this dog. It can be, it's a dog, so it can basically be the replacement for the poo in Middle Egyptian. And then finally, it can be also in rarer cases, it can just basically mean this one, like in the sentence that we had, whatchamacallit. Which one was it? This one. This one didn't go. Okay, cool. Wow, a lot of ground. We only have 6 minutes left. I wonder if we should cover this last one here.
I think Rebecca has a question.
Yes, sir. Okay, go for it. Oh, Rebecca has a question. Sorry, I thought, Ralph, you had one.
No, I think it was just the symbol still up from when she
got it.
wanted to say something earlier.
Understood. All right. Well, let me try to do this one. Maybe I'll just walk you guys through it. And then we can at least close out chapter number 3 today, and then we'll do 4 next time. So there is an innovation, I think. I don't think this exists in Middle. I'm not completely sure. There's a neuter version, POW. So that can be used as a pronoun, and often with some kind of participle behind it. Let me give you an example of this. So for example, jedu, which would be past tense, they said, right? The suffix pronoun comes after. So jedu, they said pau, they said this or that. And then you add a participle, cheper, cheper from to become or to come into being or to happen, becomes shope in Coptic. So jedu, pau, cheper, they said that which happened. So that's one way how you can use this POW thing. We had one in the Horace and Seth group, which was a bit more involved. I'm just going to go through this real quick. For some of you, this will be recognizable from a past session. We struggled with that one at that point in time. Basically, the sentence was, Ist ben irtu empaujet atum. Let me basically break this apart. Paujet, what said who, atum. That what said atum. M in this case, the preposition is according to what said atum. And the whole sentence, basically, this is a second tense. We haven't covered that at all yet. But basically, just like in Coptic, sort of focalizing thing. N is a negation, and ist is a particle that stands for should it be the case. It basically expects that the answer is no. So should it be the case? Not, one does, according to what Atum said. The whole situation in the text is essentially that the upper level senior gods have made a very clear recommendation what should be done, and now Seth is acting up and saying he's not in agreement. And so one of the other gods then asks, is it that one should not be doing according to what Atum said? Very complex sentence, but the key thing here is the pow, basically. Pow in this case is this neuter pronoun that basically means that which said, basically. I'll send these out as usual if you want to take a closer look at that. That's from Horace and Seth, of course. And I had one example sentence here from Neveu. That actually comes from a denunciation, a long denunciation document about one of the foremen, I think in Medina, if I'm not mistaken. And essentially all sorts of things are being put to him by several people, including his own son. And the example sentence in Neveu was Sahu, denunciation, erpau, denunciation about this. This word also can mean report. It doesn't have to be a denunciation, but in this context, what Neveu chose makes perfect sense because it is indeed a denunciation. It starts with paivsheri, but erchativ, so his son. Pat is also in Coptic port, to run. His son ran erchativ. We had erchativ last time when we were talking about the prince fleeing from his stepmother. Before her, in this case, it's erchatev, so before him, namely the person that the denunciation is about, his dad. So his son did flee or run from him, taset, to the place, set is place, taset, and na iriu a. So these are the doorkeepers. Their Medina has imagine it like a gated community, sort of. They have doorkeepers who also presumably had some kind of security function. So basically the son ran away from his father to the place of those belonging to the doorkeepers, or a bit more old-fashioned porters, if you want to say so. And then he said, and then comes the whole denunciation. Actually, it's a sexual misconduct denunciation. I thought I should point that out. Basically, what he's complaining about is that his dad has been, do you want to say sleep with, assaulting? It's not that clearly distinguished. It just uses the word neck, which becomes noik, I think, in Coptic. And well, how do I translate that? How do I translate that gently in English? Have intercourse with different women that were married to other people. Let's put it this way. And there's a whole bunch of other things that are also being put forward. But yeah, that's the whole story. What's the grammar point? The grammar point is pow, denunciation about this. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's a lengthy report where all sorts of other allegations also come out, although I don't think we know what happened in the end, how that was cleared up. Well, let me see. I would suggest we leave it at this for today and continue with this part next time. Rebecca, you have a question.
Since we finished this, so this Akhenaten, there's all kinds of hanky-panky would be the very vernacular word for your... and I'm so sorry. Who was it who said they wanted to see it?
That was me,
in the group.
E.T.
Oh, hi, E.T. Oh my goodness, it's shocking. You have to go and see it, everybody.
I know, I've seen it. It's a staging from the Met, so I've seen the recording from the Met at least. So I think I know what you're referring to, but yes, I would have loved to see it live.
Oh well, some other time. But that is another advert for you. But somebody was having hanky-panky with somebody else during that. I didn't know whether it was the sister. Was it the sister? Was it supposed to be Tutankhamun Karmun and Nefertiti? Well, anyway.
Oh, then maybe they've changed some things, because that I don't remember from the Met. Maybe also this being the US, maybe they recorded a toned down version.
Oh, well, did you have nakedness in the one that you saw?
And I did not, but I know that that is something that they changed because they
I
were
really wasn't
explicitly talking about the fact that normally they had that.
Okay, because obviously we weren't expecting it. So my goodness, right? I won't say any more.
That's so funny because I wouldn't bat an eye at that. I've seen so many naked people on stage in Germany. It's not worth a comment anymore.
It was a very, very thin singer, which is an achievement.
So yeah, no doubt. I was aware of that, at least for the Met production, that it did involve full frontal nudity. So I haven't seen it yet. But
the recording is on the Met Opera webpage, and it's an absolutely amazing production of it. If you like that kind of music, of course. If it's,
I like the music.
Philip Glass is possibly not for everybody.
I loved the music, but it was quite dated. I thought the production was a bit dated.
Dated? Okay, I wouldn't have said that. I would have called it crazy, but sure. But it kind of works. Like it's in all its craziness.
Well, did they throw physical balls around in the one?
Yes, yes.
Oh my goodness!
There was a lot of juggle. The music is such that the juggling kind of works well with the music, which is what I liked about it. But
well,
I'm sure it's not for everybody.
The London, I mean, I love the music. The London audience, I'm afraid we all started laughing when they were throwing the balls around because juggling. Honestly, you have to. It was very distracting, and it was hilarious. I felt as though it was like 20 years out of date. So I better go because everyone's staring at me.
I think this has gone way beyond teaser.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Now everybody wants to check it out, basically. I saw a comment in the chat, juggling. Yes, opera and juggling. So what can I say? Guys, thanks for another great session. Appreciate it. And I guess we had initially said we're going to continue in 2 weeks so that Horace and Seth could restart beginning of April. I would say let's stick to that plan. If anybody feels very strongly about it, let me know. But I would suggest let's continue in a week with Horace and Seth. I think there's still a lot of material. If you want to, I can send out the slides with the breakdown, if that helps for the next session. Maybe that would be good. And then we can go through the remainder a bit more quickly. And then we'll settle into that, I think probably a chapter every time and homework in between cadence, if that sounds good.
So is there any homework for in 2 weeks or?
That is a good question. I can do something around the past tense if you guys like to.
In chapter 4, of course.
Go again?
And we still have to go over chapter 4, right?
Exactly. At first I was thinking
reread chapter 4.
I can come up with something. I mean, yeah, probably a few example sentences for past tense and for some lighter demonstrative stuff. Why don't we do that? Just to make sure that everybody has the different uses down of the current demonstratives before we go into our special cases. Because the next thing he's going to talk about is like a real special case that only occurs, I don't think it occurs super often. It's a nifty feature that also shows up in Coptic, how to say the ones that belong to something, like the ones that belong to my village and so on. It's not something you see all the time, but it's a feature we should go over. Why don't I do an exercise on the common uses of the demonstrative and the past tense? And that whoever wants to, send that in to me. And I'll also send you these slides. Okie doke?
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so next class is on the 8th.
Next class is on the, oh, now you make me pull up a calendar here. Next class is on the 8th. Yes. And by that time, everybody who does observe daylight savings time should have switched.
Beyond savings time.
Or whatever it is. I can never keep straight.
It's British summertime tomorrow morning.
Summertime. Exactly.
Yeah, all of Europe that switches this night.
Oh, really? Night. What do you call it in Europe? We call it British summertime in a very hegemonic kind of way.
Well, I mean, we just call it summertime.
There you go. So basically, everybody who observes that summertime thing will be back in sync at the usual hour, not an hour earlier in 2 weeks. And yeah, in between we have Horace and Seth at 1 p.m. Eastern time, also the usual slot next week. And if you don't observe summertime, then yeah, I'm sorry. The time has permanently changed until fall, when we're going to do that whole exercise of getting everybody confused again. And I'll try
So
to
does it mean that for me next week, those of you that if now it's 6 o'clock, what time will it be next week? It's just ending now at 6 o'clock.
It should be starting at 6 o'clock for you next
Oh,
week.
much
It should be
better.
starting at 7 o'clock for everybody in the Central European time zone. Should be starting at 8 for Nikita, if I'm following correctly. Yeah, and Americans, you should be in sync with Aurelio. Aurelio.
That's right. Hope so.
No, wait, there are US American states that don't have daylight savings, right? So all of those will not be in sync with you till autumn, right? Oh gosh.
I think we don't have any students from there, though. It's Arizona and Hawaii, I think, are the only two.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
right.
I just remember that I've been to one because I was at a border of two states that were in different time zones, simply because one observed daylight savings and the other did not.
It's such a mess.
What a waste of time, literally.
In 500 years, they're going to look back at us and go, basically, what were they thinking? Just to put into perspective, and sometimes we see weird things in the ancient world. It's like, yeah, okay, so we change the time twice a year, but not everybody at the same time, and not all states, and sometimes neighboring states don't. Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
I'll leave it on that. Everybody have a great weekend. Thanks, and see you
Thanks,
soon.
you too. Thanks for class.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.